Hey folks, welcome back. Start of the week, new edition here of Notre Dame Daily. I'm Pete Mulroy, and this could change later after I finish recording this show. But as of now, no real updates on the quarterback situation coming out of camp. Marcus Freeman continuing to say that both C.J. Carr and Kenny Minchey continue to play extremely well. So from the head coach's mouth, that is absolutely good news. It's the battle. It's a battle in the truest sense of the word. So we'll continue to track it. We know an announcement and a decision is coming. We're 2 weeks away from the opener. So one way or the other, we're going to get that. You want to have at least, I would say, 2 weeks prior to the opener to get your starting quarterback, whoever the QB1 may be, either Minchey or Carr, some consistent reps with that first team going into week one. And I want to start with Notre Dame's week one opponent. It's game one. It's the Miami Hurricanes on the road, August 31st to Sunday, under the lights in Coral Gables. Now, this was a Miami team a year ago behind the stellar play of quarterback Cam Ward, now with the Tennessee Titans, who had the nation's number one offense. With Ward now in the NFL via the first pick in April's NFL draft, Miami head coach Mario Cristobal turns the offense over to former Georgia quarterback Carson Beck. Now, in addition to having the new signal caller in Beck, who was a very productive player before injury at Georgia, the Canes will also be replacing their top five receivers from a season ago, as well as their starting running back. Doesn't mean this group, who starts the season ranked 10th in the first AP poll, is devoid of talent, but there's got to be a lot of new looks across both sides of the football field early on for Miami. Keelan Marion from BYU, Tony Johnson from Cincinnati are expected to be right at the top of Miami's receiving depth chart. So the transfers do give Beck some veteran play on the outside. Junior Mark Fletcher Jr. is a solid back who ran for over 600 on 112 carries and 9 scores last season as the number 2 back behind Damian Martinez, who is now in the NFL with the Seattle Seahawks. He was a 7th-round pick in April's draft. 3 starters for Miami, and this is probably the biggest key outside of having Carson Beck, the veteran transfer. You got 3 guys on the offensive line back up front. They're probably going to feature as a run-first team, at least in the infancy of this thing, as you want Beck wetting his feet with the offense. Again, a new-look offense. You're going to have, from a positional playmaking standpoint, at least 5 new starters from your wide receiving group and your running back room, and then a couple of guys on that offensive line. But having the 3 starters back on the O-line is big, but Miami trying to fill some voids and some holes with guys that were previously on the depth chart as recruits, and then obviously via the portal, which Miami was very active in that this past offseason. Defensively, you've got a group that Notre Dame's going to see really looking to improve as an entire unit from a group that surrendered over 25 points per game last season, which was like 70th or something in all of the FBS. You got 5 DBs coming to the program via the portal. But here's where I think Miami's strong suit comes defensively, and it's its bookends on the defensive line. Akeem Mizador and Ruben Bain, the latter of whom is going to be an early to mid-round first-round draft pick in next year's NFL draft. So the pressure from the edge might be the strongest part of Miami's new-look defense, who is also under a first-year coordinator in Corey Heatherman. Heatherman led a top-5 group in Minnesota last season under head coach P.J. Fleck. So Miami trying to change things up. They go out into the portal, obviously very active, recruiting hotbeds very active, and then they switch up their coaching staff. Jason Taylor, actually the only guy to remain as their defensive line coach from the staff a year ago, in addition to obviously Cristobal. Overall, it's a Miami team that'll enter the game 10th in the first AP poll. And like Marcus Freeman, Cristobal enters his 4th season at the helm of his program. Posted records of 5-7, 7-6, and 10-3 across his first 3 seasons at his alma mater. The past 2 campaigns, bowl losses ending with in the Pinstripe and the Pop-Tart Bowl, respectively. You know, from a matchup perspective for Notre Dame, if their Irish are able to open up the offense by leaning on that incredibly strong run game, Jeremiah Love, obviously Jadarian Price, Aeneas Williams, while protecting either Minchey or Carr throughout, they could be in line here for big plays and points just based on what Miami's defense looked like a year ago and the fact that they've reloaded via the portal here. So these guys haven't played a regular season game in large part as an entire group ahead of August 31st. So that's a big deal, even as tough as a road matchup this is for Notre Dame to begin the season. Defensively, the Irish, as we know, possess an incredibly athletic front line, a vicious linebacking core, and unreal support on that back end. So leaning on the Irish veterans in a game like this is huge, and I have no doubt, as we all should, that Marcus Freeman's going to have the group ready to roll, just like he did last season when Notre Dame opened the campaign with a tough road win at Texas A&M. Not going to be easy. Notre Dame entering the season in the AP poll 6th, again Miami 10. So you got a nice prime time Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, down in Coral Gable to end the month of August as it falls right around the corner. Notre Dame, Miami, hearkening the days of yesteryear, legendary rivalry between the two. So many storylines that we can go back to, and we have plenty of time to do that, still 2 weeks out as we start this Monday show here. And this is what I'm going to do leading up to the Miami game. I'll start hammering away and preview some things you may or may not know about the remainder of Notre Dame's opponents, which again starts week 1, game 1, on the road, August 31st, with the Miami Hurricanes. Today's profile player, Boubacar Traore, a fan favorite due to the incredible passion and intensity the kid brings to the field. And that's factual. We've seen this. Traore really flashed his unreal skill set last season before going down with an injury. 6'4", 250 from Boston. Actually led at one point, all freshmen through 4 weeks in sacks before going down with a season-ending injury in Notre Dame's win over Louisville in late September. There was a hush in the crowd. I was at that game. Wasn't fun. Finished that shortened season with 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 2 QB hurries, and he was Notre Dame's defensive player of the game in their win over Miami, Ohio. Now, coming out of high school, Traore was a consensus 4-star out of Catholic Memorial. He was one of the prize gets in the 23 class, and I've talked about how solid the 25 group is. We know what Notre Dame did with the 2026 recruiting class, and they're off to a darn good start in the 27 group. But Traore came in as part of a 2023 class that now has its fingerprints all over the place as it pertains to Irish football right now. Jeremiah Love, Charles Jagasaw, Kenny Minchie, Christian Gray, Drake Bowen, Jaden Greathouse is in there, Sullivan Absher, Jaden Ausberry, and Adon Schuler. So when you add in Traore's blend of elite athleticism and physicality, he presents as a highly disruptive player coming off the edge for Notre Dame, and he's part of that recruiting class in 2023 that presents problems at their own positions for the opposition each and every time they're on the field. So that was a big class in 2023, and you see how it paved the way for future classes down the road, really starting in 24, but it really took off even more with the 25 and now the 26 classes. But we saw what Traore could bring, though it was only 5 games a season ago, how good this kid really can be. And entering the upcoming season, expectations are extremely high for Traore. Along with Bryce Young, who featured on the program a few days ago, the Irish Edge has an incredible chance to be one of those true breakout players, along with Young. And you talk about that combo of Young and Traore, you're looking at guys that can go from very good to elite here. And you just want to see it on a wider scale for Traore, minus the injury. Now, that's a no-brainer. On a defense that possesses strong veteran leadership, we know that, playmaking ability on all 3 levels, and tremendous speed, because as we know, the blend of speed that Marcus Freeman has brought here, now going into his 4th year, has just been different from the years prior. That's a fact. Traore can become one of the most consistent pieces on that side of the ball for Notre Dame. The arsenal he possesses as it pertains to beating blockers with his technique and his knack for blowing up the opposition's offensive line. Those are things on film, if you go back and watch what he did in high school, that carried over last season in Notre Dame before the injury. Traore's a nightmare matchup. With the potential for double-digit sacks this season, the sophomore gives the Irish a true pass-rushing threat each time he's on the field. And it's on a defensive line, folks, that is already viewed as one of the best in America. So this is incredibly high praise for a player the Irish coaching staff absolutely loves. And as he continues to develop, there are many, including myself, who believe that this young man has the makeup of a future first-round NFL draft pick. He is that good. That's a tremendous ceiling, and one that is absolutely reachable. Playing up front with the likes of Junior Tuihalamaka, Josh Burnham, Young, Rubio, Onye, Donovan Heinisch, that's only going to allow Traore to be more aggressive, which is going to spell trouble for each one of their opponents this season. Again, when you have that combination of intelligence, high football IQ, athleticism, and just knowing how to get into the opposition's backfield from that defensive line. When you're able to let Boubacar Traore, Bryce Young exploit their talents, it makes your defense all the more potent. And when you're able to put pressure on those quarterbacks, your D-backs can be more aggressive. You got pressure from the second-level guys in the linebacking core, the Sneeds and the Bowens of the world, the Osberries of the world. This is an exciting time to be a Notre Dame fan because the conversations have been around who's going to be the quarterback. Obviously, uber important. We know that. But it sort of takes the focus off of this defense, which from top to bottom, by the time the season starts to where it ends, folks, where we think it's going to go, you're talking about probably one of the best defensive units overall with depth, ability, and talent in America. And that's a big deal. Boubacar Traore, healthy. I think folks will start to see how incredibly gifted he is because he will be a major reason why Notre Dame has one of the nation's best defensive units as a whole, not just defensive line units, but best defenses in a country. 1, 2, and 3, those levels are sound for Notre Dame. They're deep, they're quick, they're agile, they're aggressive, and they are extremely well coached. Another group here, as I transition out of just the little preview and give you a bit more on Traore, some things you may not know and a little more insight. Another group that is very deep is Marty Biagi's special team group. He's been talking about it a lot lately in the media. Notre Dame has used the transfer portal to land the starting kicker the past few seasons, most recently with Mitch Jeter, who obviously was outstanding when healthy. This season, USC transfer Noah Burnett comes to South Bend after 4 years at Chapel Hill, converted 80% of his field goal tries there for the Tar Heels. And while Burnett brings strong accuracy to the position, freshman Eric Schmidt has been showcasing his length, something that very well could be utilized this season, even if, as expected, Burnett holds the field goal kicking job. Schmidt has had a strong camp as a freshman and continues to compete to be that regular kicker, even though it seems like it will be Burnett's job. The competition is good. That being said, while he continues to excel in the punting game as well behind James Rindell, we could see a good amount of the freshman on kickoffs if and when Marty Biagi wants the ball banged through the back of the end zone. So you got a nice combo there with Burnett coming in as the transfer. Maybe he takes the PK role for a year, and then you transition to Schmidt. But there's a role here because as good as Burnett is, he does have an injury past at UNC. So Schmidt is going to need to be ready to roll on a moment's notice. That's where the depth comes in and the reliability. And from that perspective, Marty Biagi noted recently, it's not out of the question that Notre Dame rolls with 3 different specialists for punting, place kicking, and kickoffs. What is that looking like? Well, right now that lines up, at least of today where I'm sitting, Rendell is your punter, Burnett is the place kicker, and perhaps Schmidt on kickoffs. From a distance perspective, Burnett has shown the ability to drill them from 50 plus, which is a great complement to the accuracy I've already spoken about. Biagi also noted that he's comfortable leaning on a variety of guys in the special teams unit outside of just the punting and kicking, which is a huge deal. And he actually singled out the likes of Micah Gilbert, Devontae Smith, Tay Johnson, who continues to just have an awesome camp, Kahanu Kia, Logan Thomas, and Preston Zinner as some of the guys who have flashed big time in addition to their roles in their specific positions, but in special teams, which is huge. Overall, the depth of the unit, which doesn't get the pizzazz and the front page headlines so much as like the offense, defense, quarterbacks, receivers, defensive line, and linebackers. Well, it's a great unit. And the depth of the unit is incredibly solid across the board, which is another huge asset the Irish have at their disposal entering the season. So I wanted to make sure we were all caught up as far as special teams. You got to have all 3 areas covered: offense, defense, special teams. Notre Dame doing a damn good job with that. And Marty Biagi with Tyler Buckner in camp serving as the placeholder. You can get creative there as well with your former starting quarterback, now third string quarterback, Tyler Buckner in there as a holder. We've seen it. We saw it last year, even in the CFP, where that creativity can come to light and help Notre Dame move the chains in more unorthodox ways. You want to have that versatility. It's been a huge key word throughout recruiting and development here. You've heard me use it a lot, and it makes sense. A special teams group with Coach Biagi, no different. And again, as I said at the top of the show, as I close here today, quarterback battle continues. That could change mere minutes after the show goes up and debuts today on this Monday August 18th. Minchie and Carr continue to perform very well. An announcement again could come. It's going to come soon. We know that. But one way or another, we'll chat more about it on tomorrow's show. I hope you have a great rest of yours. Be safe wherever you may be. Thanks as always for tuning in and subscribing. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. As always, go Irish.